let's talk about unwanted pregnancy. I feel like when I was on drugs, I had more than one abortion. And one of my sisters put it to me this way: we were brainwashed. So in many ways, if you are dealing with an unplanned, unexpected, or unwanted pregnancy, I hope you will do what I did not do. I hope you will research it. Sorry, this is a painful discussion. I'm going to talk about some of the intricacies of an abortion, because if you're going to have an abortion, you really should understand it, and I did not. I was taught that it was a fetus, it wasn't a baby. I was taught that it wasn't killing a child. And I've heard all the arguments, and believe me, I bought them all. So I now regret it. I don't have any biological children of my own. There's other reasons for that. But luckily, I married a man who had children, so I have my own children. They're not my biological children, and grandchildren, and a great-grandbaby. So it's the most wonderful thing that's happened to me in my life. So I was blessed with that. Let me tell you that a baby, when they are aborted at a certain age, again, this is a trigger warning. If they're aborted at a certain age, they have to basically suction out all of the body parts. The abortionist, Dr. Anthony Levatino, was an abortionist, and even when he and his wife had some problems with fertility, they adopted a baby. They had some children later, but when their daughter was 6 years old, she was killed in a car accident. He was unable to perform abortions at that time. He felt like, instead of it being a choice of the woman, he felt like it was somebody's daughter or somebody's son. So it's important that you understand what an abortion is like. It's important that you understand that at 6 to 7 weeks, a baby has brain waves, that there's a heartbeat at about 5.5 to 6 weeks. There's still some controversy about whether or not a fetus can feel pain, but from what I've heard, if you watch an abortion, and I don't know where you can do that, but you probably should if you're considering one, you can see the baby trying to get away from the instrument. If the baby is too big to suction out, then they have to pull out the baby limb by limb and by face and brain. So I'm not trying to upset you. I just want you to educate yourself and to understand. I was young. I didn't research it. I didn't understand it. Brain waves, 6 to 7 weeks, a heartbeat, 5.5 to 6 weeks after conception. So at that point, they have a face, parts of a brain, and are beginning to have a spine. So when I had my first abortion, I could not bear the thought of carrying a baby to term and giving it up. Now, I've grown up a lot since then, and I wasn't thinking about the baby. I was only thinking about myself. It was very selfish, again, more than once. It was very, very, very selfish. I never, ever thought of it as a baby. If I did, it would have been very, very different. Again, I was also on drugs, so you know that parts of my brain were not really operating very well, especially the neocortex, which is where you make decisions and use logic and weigh out pros and cons. I basically just didn't want to be bothered with it and didn't want to deal with it. I do remember my last abortion. I was made to sit in the medical room with the heart monitor on the baby and watch its heartbeat. I was also made to sit in there alone and watch that. Now, I think that that's a good idea. Back then, I basically just sort of dissociated, disconnected from it, and ignored it. I just want you to understand that there are 2 million, in 2022, there were 2 million couples looking to adopt. In 2022, I couldn't get any later statistics. This is from the CDC. Non-Hispanic Black women were 39.5%. The highest rate, 28.6% per 1,000 live births. That's 28.6%. Basically, if Blacks had continued to have babies and not have abortions, we would not have a Black minority in the United States. We probably would be equal to the amount of Blacks and whites. The second highest rate of abortion was non-Hispanic white women with 31.9%. So that was the second highest rate of abortions per death, per birth. So 2 million couples in 2022 were looking to have a baby. So I don't know what the stats were for 2025, because it feels like Google's a little bit prejudiced about looking at adoption. It was easier to find a lot more resources on abortion. At 10 weeks, the baby's eyes react to light in the womb. They have the beginning of ears, and they respond to touch. So I don't buy it when Google says they weren't sure whether or not the baby could feel pain. I'm pretty sure that baby being suctioned out of the uterus felt pain. The abortionist, again, Anthony Levatino, said in order to make sure the abortion was healthy and safe for the woman, they would have to stack up all of the parts of the baby to make sure there was not going to be anything left or the woman could die from infection. So when his 6-year-old adopted daughter died, he could no longer perform abortions. He just thought of it as somebody's daughter or somebody's son, and he gave up that part of his practice. I was curious because I did not believe that there was such thing as late-term abortion. I thought there's just no way that's true. So I typed into the internet that I was 18 years old and I was 39 or 36 weeks pregnant. What could I do? And I was given the name and phone number of clinics in New York City where I could go. Now, they cautioned me that basically what happens is they kill the baby in the womb and then they extract it. Again, they have to extract it piece by piece. And a late-term abortion is a baby that can survive outside the womb and be adopted. I understand not wanting to go through that. I would do it so differently, of course, now. Easy for me to say, I'm 68. So I'm happy to talk to you. I'm not going to encourage you to have an abortion. If you want to talk to me about this, I'm happy to talk to you about it as a woman who's been there and who would encourage you not to have one. So you need to know that that's where I stand. So Planned Parenthood and other places that I was very familiar with can help you make that decision, and they're going to encourage you to do that. Again, 2022, 2 million couples were looking to adopt. Imagine, later on, I could have gone back and met that child. Anyway, I'm not trying to upset you. I just want you to be informed the way that I was not informed. Thanks.